All right, so apparently a 21-year-old raised $85 million. $85 million. I don't know how he raised it, but he won a U.S. contract for a new defense contractor. Like, he is probably the youngest dude who owns a weapons company now. Like, this is pretty wild. Check this out.
Often you meet a 21-year-old with his own autonomous drone weapons manufacturing facility.
A autonomous drones weapons manufacturer facility. A 21-year-old dude. A 21-year-old dude. Dude, that gives me hope. That gives me hope, because I started really late in trying to like get after it because I was like lost when I was younger. 21 years old, dude's got a probably double-digit $1 million contract with the U.S. Army.
But this is Ethan Thornton, and right now he is rethinking the future of warfare with China top of mind.
It's not hard to look at China's dominance and realize that we need to be working very, very hard as a country if we want to maintain relevance.
And while China has been putting on quite the show of military might.
You guys all saw the China videos about the big parade that they had and showing off all their nuclear capabilities, their long-range strike capabilities, a lot of their armored vehicles, their aircraft, a big, huge amount of drones that they were showing. A lot of stuff. Definitely highly check it out. I posted a couple videos on it on the main channel and also on the Kagan Dunlap TV, the TV channel as well. So I would check that out if you haven't seen it yet.
When it comes to scale, Thornton imagines a very different alternative than the high-tech, sophisticated U.S. arsenal that we're all used to.
One of your missions seems to be trying to imagine what warfare is going to look like, not in 10 years, but in 20 years. You're 21, so that's literally a lifetime for you.
Plans for autonomous weapons factories nationwide.
How do you see the future of warfare in 20 years?
To me, what's most concerning is you can look at ultra large scale strike with very, very cheap assets. So if you can find a way to get very small, like $400 to $1,000 drones by the millions above populated areas.
By the
millions.
millions.
Just try to visualize that. So millions of these very low-cost drones descending over a populated area.
Yeah, so he's talking about drone swarms, basically. But here's the thing. While drone swarms sound good, there are so many countermeasures to that now where they can just shoot out a blast of energy and fry all the circuitry of these things in a big, huge wave. Now, I don't know what the impact on human beings that are in the proximity of that would be, but that probably wouldn't be good. So I would imagine they would probably position their troops in a way that's behind whatever line that thing's on, and that would be part of like the forward defense, I would imagine, or at least somewhere near like air defense batteries or things like that. I would guess, just because it would be like an extra layer of defense there. But what's going on? High potential. I was looking into their current designs. They're pretty well scoped for now. He's doing so much better. So happy and glad I got my bro back. Let's go, Plywood. I'm glad to hear that, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a huge deal, man. Like, I know I got friends. I got a lot of friends who've dealt with that stuff as well. So I'm glad to hear that. See, Anduril kind of stuff. Yeah, Anduril does a lot of stuff like that as well.
What you'll see it used for is taking out all of your cell phone towers, taking out all of your high voltage power transformers, taking out your cranes and ports, like essentially just stopping your industrial machine.
His company, Mach Industries, received a Pentagon development contract and has already raised hundreds of millions of dollars to think outside the military-industrial box. And that means churning out as many cheap, deadly drones as possible.
Hundreds of millions.
The kinds of systems that have transformed the modern battlefield in places like Ukraine. But before drones ruled the skies, Thornton remembers watching the opening moments of the invasion in high school and realizing warfare was about to change forever.
You have very, very legacy assets, a convoy of tanks all rolling basically single file.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember what that was like back when like Ukraine invaded, or no, not Ukraine, but when Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2022. It was so backlogged. They had this major highway that they had like hundreds of armored vehicles on and tanks on, and they got stuck, and a lot of them ran out of fuel because they didn't have a good logistics plan. Which it was nuts watching that. It was pretty crazy to see, but like that was and there's like tanks and like armored vehicles getting stuck in the mud and getting bogged down, and it was like super bad. But drones weren't being used as heavily at that time, and now it's kind of transitioned to almost mostly or entirely drones going back and forth and stuff like that, especially like the Shahed drones and the one-way UAVs that are just designed to be like kamikazes and impacting buildings or infrastructure or oil refineries or different things like that. And the Ukrainians are using it, and so are the Russians. They're both using it at each other, just lobbing crap at each other. But there was a long period of time where it was just like straight trench warfare, where there was a big human wave, a ton of people would die, and then there would be another human wave back, a counterattack, and a ton of people would die. Especially in like late 2022, early 2023, it was really bad, especially in like Bakhmut and Soledar. There was apparently like 100 or more people being killed daily in just that one city, that one town. That's just such an unbelievable number to think about when you try to wrap your head around that, because that's like basically a company. That's an entire company of people, essentially. You take that type of casualties over 5 days, not even 5 days. Like you take that type of casualties over, a period of week, an entire battalion's gone. Like that is crazy. And that's how it was before. Now it's different now for sure, because there's not like big human waves, and there's been so much death on both sides. They don't have the people to do that anymore. But now it's definitely a lot more heavy on the drones.
And now there's this class of weapons that you can use to pretty much immobilize those things immediately.
But when it comes to manufacturing...
Yeah, see all these are all like the, apparently some of the new unmanned drones that are supposed to be like jets. They like are supposed to be like jet drones, but I don't think they're meant to be kamikazes. I think they're meant to be like controlled by jets that they have. Like they have 5th generation jets that are supposed to be able to control drones around them, so that you can have like one actual pilot, and then you have like 6 drones or maybe more. I don't know how many drones that one of their 5th generation jets can control. But that one jet can control like multiple around it, like wingmen. But those are a little bit more disposable because there's no human bodies inside of them, right? So it's a little different.
Manufacturing drones, there is no country that comes close to China, currently able to build hundreds.
That was the one thing I thought that was super interesting, is they had drone helicopters. I have not seen any, but like what looks like an actual helicopter, but it's a drone. Obviously, you see quadcopters and all these all the drones have like propellers that spin up like that, but it's not shaped like a helicopter. So that's the first time I've seen something like that, which I thought was interesting.
Of thousands of drones every month.
If we're making a quadcopter and China's making the same quadcopter, we'll lose that fight 10 times out of 10.
For him, if Chinese manufacturing is their greatest advantage, it should be the biggest target. And his focus has been finding ways to try and quickly flood adversarial skies with cheap autonomous weapons.
It's a high-altitude dropped, long-range glide bomb.
He calls this project
a glide bomb.
With one glide, you could take that factory out of operation for 3 to 6 months. So let's say you're taking 3 million quadcopters out of the fight with one glide. And that's really the asymmetric offset you're looking to provide.
That's crazy. This kid is 21 years old and he's talking about asymmetric offsets. Like when I was 21 years old, dude, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, let alone like know that I wanted to become a businessman running a defense industry business. Like that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I would like to interview this kid. He's not a kid. I guess technically he's an adult at this point, but I would like to interview this young man. I think that would be cool. I'd be interested to hear like what brought him to this place. How did this happen? I want the story of how he got here.
Specific details of Glide are still secret, but Thornton did show us prototypes of Viper.
You and I could go and set up hundreds of these things in a parking lot somewhere.
Think portable Hellfire missiles, but with more payload that can both take off and land if needed.
It'll come in essentially a
take off and land.
That case will open up and become the launch stand.
And one of the highest flying ideas being workshopped at Mach, Stratus, built around an old and inexpensive kind of tech, balloons.
I think in future conflicts, we will see hundreds of thousands all the way up to like tens of millions.
Tens of millions of balloons.
Some will be carrying sensors, some will be carrying communications, some will be carrying like decoys to get you to waste your air defenses.
So saying, hey, yeah, come shoot these down. It's going to cost you a pretty penny to get up here.
Exactly.
The one thing I think about the balloons is, or the only downside is, I've seen Ukrainian drones that have like actual guns mounted on them, like shotguns, like drones that are shooting other drones out of the sky with shotguns. I've seen drones with machine guns mounted in them. I've seen drones with just like AK-47 style rifles mounted on them to shoot things. Off to bedtime with the kids. Be back later. All right, C. Phillips, we'll see you in a little bit. AI wingmen like that, the F-47 is going to have. Yeah, the F-47 is going to have a lot of stuff like that, probably, I would imagine. Let's see. C. Phillips, it's so hard. I'm finally in the stages of getting a big boy job. Just paid off our mortgage, too. Bro, congratulations. That is huge. My wife definitely is the reason I stopped. Met her and said, F that. Hey, man, whatever it takes, dude. You sound like you got your, I mean, you just paid off a mortgage. That's better than your average, most people in this country. Most folks in this country are at a point where they feel like they're never going to own a home because it's so difficult and so expensive to buy homes because everything's like way, way overpriced right now.
Mach Industries is just one of a whole new field of defense startups hoping to transform the defense industry. For over half a century, companies like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Raytheon have made up the backbone of next-gen U.S. air defense and missile capability. But today, Mach and disruptors like Anduril are focusing all their efforts on laying the groundwork to mass-produce deadly autonomous systems from land, sea, and sky.
The way I see future defense looking is actually a lot more like the automotive industry, where every year you're essentially coming out with new models. These things are being refreshed on
it's already been happening for sure.
Cadence as warfare changes, and then your timelines for development.
I mean, we've already seen like the types of autonomous drones that are like for surface vessels, like unmanned surface vessels and stuff like that. We've already seen like advancements that have been incremental and gradual, and especially in the Black Sea and stuff like that. Ukrainians taking out like Navy ships with unmanned surface vessels. They're already, I mean, it's already happening right now.
Development are months instead of decades, but hopefully even weeks.
He's hoping soon they'll have factories like this one spread out by the thousands.
Yeah, so I think a big thing for us is decentralization, is designing products that you can make in very rudimentary, very small facilities. You don't want one factory that if you go to war gets taken out and you lose your industrial base.
Big plans.
Well, the other thing that's concerning is like, what materials do you need to supply this stuff with? Because the logistics and the supplying with like the raw materials, that's why he was saying that China's got us beat in that section or in that area, because China is able to manufacture things at a much faster rate because, number one, they have a lot more people, they have a lot bigger workforce, they have a lot more raw materials, and they have more access to like rare earth minerals and stuff like that. In fact, they have, I think, a pretty significant lead ahead of the rest of the world as far as access to rare earth minerals. So that's a serious concern.
It's for a new kind of mass production, and for the 21-year-old who dropped out of MIT to
Pixel, right? You said you had to move back in with your parents. Hey, everything's temporary. You know, it's just a temporary setback for now, and then you just work to get out of it. And you know, before you know it, you'll be back on your own in your own spot again.
Start building all this, the future is coming faster than we think.
I'm actually very optimistic in the military doing the right things to procure the right systems. And so we're way behind right now as a country. That gap is widening every day, and it's kind of a make or break next couple decades.
We thank you for...
Yeah, it's interesting to see. After securing more money than at 19 than most people will make in a few lifetimes, Ethan Thornton founded Mach Industries to replace traditional munitions with hydrogen-powered weaponry, i.e. trading gunpowder for water. As geopolitical tensions increase worldwide, investors seek opportunities to invest in paradigm-shifting battlefield technologies, leading to Sequoia's Sean McGuire and Bedrock's Geoff Lewis leading funding rounds for the teenagers company. Interesting. When he was 19 years old, he secured more money than most people will make in a few lifetimes for his business. Let me see. Wait, is this the same kid? No, it's a different kid, right? Yeah, it's a different kid. Yeah. That's so nuts, man. That is crazy. $85 million at 21 years old, won a U.S. Army contract for a defense contract. That is, that's one hell of a story. That's one hell of a story right there.